Hey guys, it's Greg and Janet with Strange RV Tours. Today we're at 106 South Harwood, the old Dallas Municipal building here. This is the location where Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, originally we were going to start this video over at Jack Ruby's old carousel club. It doesn't exist anymore. Now there's a big giant AT&T building there, so we decided to come over here. Give you a little bit of information about Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby's parents had immigrated from Poland and had 10 children. Now Jack was a problem child with arrests for delinquency and truancy. He was first arrested at the age of 11.
Seriously, 11? That's a problem child.
When he was born, his real name was Jacob Leon Rubenstein. He was born in 1911. Now Jack's brother never believed that Jack meant to kill Oswald, which that may sound surprising to you, but there are some theories as to why. Jack Ruby used a .38 Cobra pistol to kill Oswald. He had purchased the weapon from Ray's Sporting Goods in Dallas, Texas, and he actually had a police officer named Joe Cody purchase the gun for him. I believe the gun was $62, and the reason he had the police officer purchase it for him was because it saved him $6 or $7 because the police officers would get a discount. Now Jack Ruby's brother later sold that gun for $220,000 after Jack Ruby had passed away. Now a police officer, a police detective named Jim Lavelle was actually handcuffed to Jack Ruby when they were transferring him from this police station. And when he interviewed Jack Ruby, he told Jim Lavelle, "I just wanted to be a hero, but I guess I messed things up." Now Jack's conviction was overturned on October 5th, 1966. Writer Tom O'Neill claimed that the coin-appointed psychiatrist for Jack Ruby was actually an MK Ultra doctor, mind control doctor. That MK Ultra stuff keeps popping up.
Sure enough.
Jack was raised in an Orthodox Jewish home in the Maxwell Street area of Chicago. Now, it appears that most people that knew Jack Ruby just loved the guy. Said he was a wonderful man, but as a child, Jack Ruby had the nickname of Sparky, and it was because he had a flaring temper. And if anybody called him Sparky, he would go to fisticuffs right away. He never dodged a fight, that's for sure. Jack dropped out of school in the 8th grade. He spent time in foster care and juvenile hall. He made extra money selling tip sheets for the track and other petty crimes. Then later in life, he was an agent for the Garbage Collectors Union, which later merged with the Teamsters. That may have been where he first kind of got involved with the mob.
Sure enough. Sounds like it.
He was rumored to have run errands for Al Capone and was questioned by police for the murder of Leon Cook, who founded Local 20467 of the Scrap Iron and Junk Handlers Union. He later became muscle for the union under Paul Dorfman. After the death of Cook, Dorfman assumed control of the union and Ruby became his right-hand man. Now, Jack Ruby also served in the military during World War II. After his military service, Ruby was exiled from the mob and told to move to Dallas. In Dallas, he became involved in gambling, prostitution, and drug trafficking. He owned several topless clubs in Dallas, including the famous one, the Carousel Club, where we were going to start this, but it doesn't exist anymore. Now, he was arrested 9 times during his 16 years in Dallas. Ruby became friends with Dallas police officers and the sheriff's department, giving them free booze and access to his top dancers at his club. He also would give free access to the district attorney's office. So Ruby had a lot of friends in the police department.
Yep.
And this was during the time of the mob's heyday.
So they had a lot of corruption back then.
Now, Sam Giancana, who ran the Chicago outfit, and New Orleans boss Carlos Marcello, and Florida boss Santos Traficante were invested in Cuba in casinos and clubs and brothels at this time. Jack helped the mob run guns to Castro in Cuba during this same time. After Castro took control of Cuba, he threw the mobsters out of the country, costing the mob millions. Trafficante was even jailed. It also appears that the mob had actually helped Jack Kennedy get elected to the presidency.
That's what I heard. I heard that too.
And the mafia or mob also was working with the CIA to take Castro out. During the 1978 House Select Committee on Assassinations, mob boss Johnny Rosselli and CIA officials admitted they worked together to try to assassinate Castro. They felt betrayed when the Kennedys came out against them. It is believed that Trafficante was jailed in Cuba and facing execution. Jack Ruby was sent to Cuba to negotiate his release, and he was released. And this kind of makes sense too, because at the time Ruby had been helping Castro obtain guns. Now, one of the reasons Jack Ruby had given for shooting Oswald is he didn't want to have Jackie sit through a horrific trial, and thought this was a simple way of ending it. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to walk up to that door and see if we can't see inside. Now, Ruby shot Oswald on Sunday, 11/24/1963, after shadowing him for several days. And at that point, Ruby was basically considered a flunky for the mob at best. In 1979, the House Select Committee on Assassinations concluded that Jimmy Hoffa, Carlos Marcello, and Santos Trafficante all had the motive, means, and opportunity to kill JFK. During the hearings, an FBI informant testified that Trafficante stated that Kennedy was going to be killed for going after Jimmy Hoffa. In 1992, Frank Regano was quoted in the New York Post as saying Trafficante on his deathbed told him that he had screwed up and that they should have killed Bobby Kennedy instead of JFK. During the Warren Commission, Jack Ruby said that he didn't feel free to talk in Dallas because he felt that he would be killed. So he asked Frank Dulles to take him to Washington, D.C., where he could tell the true story of the reason why the murder happened on Lee Harvey Oswald. He was never taken to Washington. On March 14th, 1964, Ruby was found guilty of murdering Oswald and sentenced to death in the first courtroom verdict to ever be televised on TV. And then in 1966, in October, Ruby's case was overturned. He was awaiting his retrial when he died. He's currently buried beside his parents in West Lawn Cemetery in Norridge, Illinois. And let's go see if we can take a look at the inside of this basement. Now, years ago, they didn't have this door locked during the day, and Janet and I were actually able to drive our car through here. Yeah. You can see it goes straight down into the basement, and then just past that pillar on the right-hand side is the doors where Oswald walked out. And Jack Ruby shot him approximately where that big puddle of water is down there. Now, one of the reasons that Jack Ruby was able to do that is because he was so friendly with so many of the officers. He literally just walked right down here and walked right down into the basement. And I don't know if there was any police officers saw him. Several said they never saw him. Now, Jim Lavelle, who was handcuffed to Lee Harvey Oswald, said when he walked out with Oswald, he saw Jack Ruby and noticed that he had a gun in his hand. One of the other interesting things about this shooting is that they transferred Lee Harvey Oswald late. He was supposed to be transferred at like 12 o'clock, and it ended up being like 12:07. And during that time, Jack Ruby was actually up the road a ways at a Western Union telegraph station where he was sending some money to one of his dancers that needed some cash, I guess. So had he planned on killing Oswald, you would think he would have been here before they were going to transfer him. but he actually walked over here late, walked down that ramp, and still made it before they actually moved Oswald out. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why Jack Ruby's brother believes that he probably wasn't intending on killing Oswald. It just, in the spur of the moment, his emotions got the best of him and he did it. But this is where it happened, guys. Right here in beautiful downtown Dallas. With all the big buildings. Now, a lot of these buildings weren't here at that time, but this one was. And from what we understand, there is a legal company or attorneys. There's an attorney's office that owns this building now, and they have left the jail cell that they kept Oswald in intact. We tried to get in several times, but they never seem to be open, so hopefully someday in the future we'll be able to do that.
Strange RV tours will take you places with Greg and Janet's smiling faces. You might see a crazy flavored soda review or some tips to fit your RV too. So come along, won't you join us, friend, as we discover what's around the bend. Just sit right back in your easy chair. Strange RV Tours is on the air. Strange RV Tours is on.